On June 23rd, 2026, the HHSRS was updated, affecting landlords and housing providers across England. But what is it and how will landlords be affected? Welcome back to the Landlord Academy, where we discuss everything UK property related. Today, we're looking at the HHSRS and how it's changed. Firstly, what is the HHSRS? The Home's Health and Safety Rating System is a method of categorising potential hazards in a property. It was introduced in 2004 Housing Act and is what local councils rely on when inspecting rental properties to ensure they are hazard-free and safe for habitation. It works by taking into account 21 potential hazards like fire risk, poor insulation and overcrowding, and scoring them on how likely they are to occur and how harmful they would be. If the score is high enough so that it is a high risk to any occupant in the property, the local authority has a legal duty to take an enforcement action. So, why should you care? Well, if you are a landlord, ensuring your rental property meets the HHSRS standards is not just good practice. It is a legal requirement. As mentioned, local authority use this system to gauge how hazard-free a property is, and failing to comply with it can land you with fines up to £7,000. These civil penalties can only be given to landlords who have ignored enforcement action from a local authority, such as an improvement or hazard awareness notice. To the majority of upstanding landlords, this is common sense. Communicate on issues with your tenants and get maintenance resolved as quickly as possible. As mentioned at the beginning, the system was overhauled, making it more streamlined and easier to understand. So, what's changed? First, let's look at hazard bands. The legacy HHSRS used an A to J ranking system to calculate how hazardous a property is and whether it requires immediate attention. The letter ranking system was changed to low, medium, and high for the avoidance of all doubt. Low and medium risk hazards, also known as Category 2 hazards, typically pose a non-severe threat to a tenant's health. So it is up to the local authority to decide if enforcement action should be taken on a property. However, local authorities have legal duty to respond and take action against high-risk hazards in a property. They are also known as Category 1 hazards. Next, let's look at the 4 classes of harm. The HHSRS classes of harm categories represent how severe a hazard could be to an occupant. Previously, these 4 categories were labelled from 4 to 1, with 1 being most severe. This has been changed to moderate, serious, severe, and extreme. Plain English so that anyone can understand it. The HHSRS formula for determining a hazard harm class works by estimating the likelihood of occurring in the next 12 months and multiplying it by the spread of potential outcomes. The outcome of this formula determines which class the hazard belongs to. Scores below 1,000 will fall into the low and medium risk categories, and scores over 1,000 will be considered high risk, which the council will act on as there may be significant risk of injury. Now let's look at a total number of hazard categories. Before the rework in June, the system had a classification of 29 hazards. This has been reduced to 21 hazards, as there were many combined into a single category for simpler diagnosis. The 21 hazards fall into 4 groups. Protection against accidents, which includes falls, fire and electrical hazards, physiological requirements for risks like excess cold, damp and mold growth and asbestos, protection against infection, which concerns hygiene and water supply, and psychological requirements for hazards like crowding, fear of intruders, and noise. To avoid enforcement action and civil penalties, you will have to keep your property hazard-free at all times. Hazards can present themselves in a property at any time. What matters is that they are found, reported, and remedied as soon as possible. To minimize the risk of hazards, landlords should have regular property inspections, ensure the tenants know where to report maintenance, and update on any ongoing maintenance. Tenants can ask the council to inspect the property if they believe it is hazardous, so it's best to ensure that all reported maintenance is acted on, especially simple common issues like damp and mold, faulty wiring, or excess cold. To ensure your property is safe, your best bet is to employ a managing agent for your property portfolio, particularly if you aren't local. To recap, the HHSRS is an important system and framework used by councils to ensure properties are hazard-free and fit for habitation. As a landlord, it is your duty to make sure that your property is safe for your tenants. If you found this helpful, be sure to leave a like and leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below.